supernatural, we can understand things that are uh, of a spirit of a divine wisdom. We can have divine wisdom. We do have the mind of Christ. We do have the Holy Spirit in us, teaching us. The third person of the Trinity is in us who are believers. So we have a considerable amount of help, and we can understand, but we what we also have to understand is these domains. You know, the limits of the authorities or their realm, how far, where their power lies, how much ability they have through authority, and does it change with people who are holy versus sinners? Does Satan have more power with sinners and less power with believers who are holy? Do believers who are holy then not have to be concerned that they, can be manipulated, used, understood in or in have insight into the minds of those individuals?
I think we're more susceptible sometimes because he wants to turn our minds around. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
If he already has, the people that are not holy or not believers, then his whole goal, isn't it, to turn people away from God? Isn't that his? Because he knows his end, and so the more souls that he can get turned away from God, that's his goal.
Okay. Well, is that scriptural, or is that something you've sensed or you believe, or do you have a verse? Because we're going to get down into some very serious line divisions here. You're going to have to make some very definitive lines in the sand to understand the limits of these domains. Where the party, where the division is in the domains, and they cannot be crossed. They absolutely cannot be crossed. If you read Job chapter 1, there is a protection of Job. God puts a hedge of command around Job, and Job worked within the protection of the hedge, of divine hedge over him, and Satan was unable to stop Job from becoming one of the richest and most influential people in the East. He became very powerful. He had a large family. He had lots of possessions, and Satan was unable to interfere with any of it. So there are definitely lines, and then God, in order to work with Job spiritually, allowed Satan certain privileges with Job, but what the privileges were are really important. and what the limits were are significant. And so that's what we've been looking at in our, when we were doing our drawings, of the core, and we were looking at the difference in, who knows where the verse is about the snatching away. We're going to push that a little further today. Where demons, where actually what does it actually call the snatchers of the seed of truth about Christ, about salvation? The salvation message is snatched away. Where is that? Where does Christ talk about that at? Who remembers? He explains about the seeds that fall on the path in life, and he teaches about the limits and the rights of things that are evil. Nobody remembers? We looked at Matthew 13 last week, and the week before, and the week before. These are mechanics, just like in your head when you know the boss is going to give you instructions that involve math. You're going to retain knowledge about math, that 1 and 1 is 2 and 2 and 2 is 4. And you retain that knowledge because you know that you're going to have to do something today at work that involves math. So this is spiritual information. These are spiritual tactics, about the spiritual realm, and they affect us tremendously. So you really need to get these things in the forefront of your mind, and they need to stay there, and they should be exercised every day in every situation. You need to use them. You just have to use them. There's no Matthew 13. Christ says in verse 18, listen then to what a parable of the sower means. Okay? And Christ is speaking to people who can hear, who want to hear, but also people can hear because he's given spiritual information out about the mechanics of the seed of the gospel. It's called seed because it's an argument. The gospel's an argument about God's capacity, desire, and capacity to save people. It's a salvation argument, and it's a seed as a thought. It's a concept. Okay? It's a spiritual thing. And the broadcasting of the seed on the path is the arbitrary casting. They're casting the seed out, and some of the seed is going on prepared soil, okay? Prepared soil, and some of it is going on the pathway. Okay? And so this ground is softened for the purpose of receiving seed, okay? Concept. It's made ready, okay? It is porous, it is plowed and soft, so it's ready to receive the seed, the concept. Okay, it's ready to receive it. This ground is hard. This ground is rejecting the seed. So what we're learning about here in this parable, and we've been focusing on this portion here because this portion is demonically influenced. This portion is not. So we're studying demons, so we're looking at the path. Okay? Because the path is not only affected and caused and maintained by demonic teaching, but it's also used by the demons, because this is our spiritual core. This is understanding our core, okay? The prepared mind, receiving, being preached to, being warned, okay? And being preached to is softened. I mean, this is basic Christianity, okay? So this hard area is an active area. It's a progressive area. It's moving thoughts. It's unprepared soil. The word is a spiritual tool. It's a piece of spiritual explanation. It's literature that comes from God. It's written by God. So it's a tool for comprehending the spiritual creature that we are. And as we looked at here, it's talking to our spiritual the portion of our being that is spiritual. So what we try to do is, I have brought out before, there are people, I don't want to label anybody, but there are people who try to manipulate food. If you eat certain foods, that there is a spiritual effect. Okay? Or if you don't eat certain foods, there's a spiritual effect. And that's so extremely limited in the Word. And there's a reason why, is because in order for things to affect us spiritually, take a look at Colossians chapter 2. Colossians chapter 2. Okay, Colossians 2, verse okay, starting in verse 20. Somebody want to read 20? Actually, I'll read some, and then somebody could read from 20 on, but I'll start in 18. Do not let anyone, Colossians 2:18, do not let anyone. Now, that's a person, that's a demon, that's Satan, that's a governor, that's a Food and Drug Administration person, that's the internet, that's a bot on the internet, that's do not let anyone who delights in false humility and the worship of angels disqualify you for the prize. Such a person goes into great detail about what he has seen. Okay? What he has seen. So, what he's seen are concepts. He's seen concepts. He may have been taught these concepts, these things in college. You know, they study them. Organizations have in-services and they teach them, but they teach concepts. They're spiritual concepts because they're spiritual things because they're concepts. Okay, they're not tangible. They're exchangeable by us using speech. You know, we transfer, we exchange ideas. Colossians 2 says that there are people who try to adjust the spiritual consequences by using corporeal means. All right. Okay. And the way we deal with corporeal means is through our senses. Okay. We look for things and we see things, and so we have an exchange with our physical realities. You know, our senses try to bring things in, and our mind is always sending out, you know, our sensibilities, receptors, and looking for things in the world and seeking. It's what we use on our phone all the time to look things up, and we have thoughts that pour into our mind through our ears and through our eyes from bots on the internet, and we're always morphing, we're always picking up these teachings, and the word here says don't let anyone, which is another spirit, a creature that is able to both receive and transmit. And this spirit is filling our senses with all this information, okay? It's luring us in our mind. It's changing our mind and affecting our heart through our senses, and so Christ cuts them off. We talked about that before. He cuts us away from the world, and he dulls those sensibilities so that we can gain control. Christ does this, and the Holy Spirit, complementing his effort, separates the spirit from the soul in Hebrews 4:12. Okay, for the same purpose of prompting a exchange in our core, and an inner man exchange with God who created us, and not taking input from the corporeal realm the physical realm around us. Does that make sense? You guys, are you agreeing with this? You guys with me so far, right? Or not? We have a long
Yeah,
way. What?
I'm there.
Okay.
So do they know they're trying to affect the senses, but do they know how that's affecting you as far as your mind, your comprehension, or what your thoughts go to, how your desires are shifted? Do they see those things, or is it
Yes.
basically just in your actions?
Well, think about this, okay? If you see something in the corporeal realm, like the sun, right? It's a physical thing, right? It's a physical phenomenon, right? How does appreciation for the sun get made here in a spiritual place? How does that happen?
How does appreciation for the sun?
A physical thing becomes a concept and is valued, appreciated, cherished, sought after. These things change. Yes, I want more sun. It gives me health. I don't have to take as much vitamins. If I get in the sun, you know, it's like these sensibilities translate the physical realm into a concept. They put it into a place where a concept forms from their physical, and that's why people, all kinds of people do all kinds of things, vegans and health, people concerned with health, they exercise, they eat certain foods, and they're trying to adjust the spiritual realm through their senses. So their senses are picking up for them and translating physical things into sensual. There's a transition being made there. It's you're going to be using